My name is Henry Jolicoeur. I'm a French-Canadian psychotherapist, hypnotherapist, and my special field of interest and study is brainwashing and mind control by cults. I was also a member of the Hare Krishna movement in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Today I would like to complete my review of the excellent book called Killing for Krishna by Henry Doctowski. This book is centered around the murder of a devotee of Krishna called Stephen Bryant, whose spiritual name was Sulochan, in 1986 in Los Angeles. He was killed by Thomas Drescher, whose spiritual name was Tirthadas, on the order of Tirtha's spiritual master Kirtan Ananda Swami, who at one time was the leader of the biggest Hare Krishna community in America with more than 500 members. It was also found at a later date that Thomas Drescher had killed another devotee a few years earlier called Chuck Saint Denis, whose spiritual name was Chakradhara. Stephen Bryant and Chuck Saint Denis were killed because they were considered by the leader of the Hare Krishna movement, Kirtanananda Swami, to be demons, enemies of the Guru, enemies of the spiritual community of New Vrindavan. And Thomas Drescher, being completely brainwashed, went on to kill both of those human beings, thinking that he was doing a great spiritual service to his Guru and to his God, Sri Krishna. The question arises, was there any instruction in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness enabling someone to kill another human being because they thought that they were demons? Unfortunately, there was. The philosophy of the Hare Krishna movement believe that Lord Krishna came on this planet 5,000 years ago and took part in an enormous battle to kill hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people because they were demons or working for demons. This became the narrative for the Bhagavad Gita. There's about 400 different versions of the Bhagavad Gita in English. Most Bhagavad Gita are symbolical of the struggle between good and evil, but the Hare Krishna and the leader of the Hare Krishna movement, Swami Bhaktivedanta, actually believe that this was an actual historical event that happened 5,000 years ago. He made it clear in his book that there's really only two types of people on this planet: the devotees of God and the demons. So it was easy to misinterpret the words of Bhaktivedanta and actually kill people that were making problems, difficulties within the Hare Krishna community, especially Stephen Bryant, that was accusing Kirtan Ananda of being a pedophile, which was truth. At the end of his book, Henry Dostoevsky put several quotes from Bhaktivedanta Swami that he spoke in 1976. And these quotes might have influenced the people who decided to murder other devotees of Krishna because they were now thinking that they were demons. But before I go into these quotes, I would like to remind people listening to this video that the Hare Krishna movement in 1966 had very few books out. Everything depended on the words of Swami Bhaktivedanta, and practically none of his private conversation were ever published or known to the general public, to the general devotees living in the Hare Krishna temple around the world. Only after the invention of the internet in 1990, and really not before the year 2000, did most of his private conversation were posted online. And some of those private conversations reveal that Swami Bhaktivedanta said some terrible things about homosexuals and lesbians, about the black race, about the intelligence of women, about the Jews, so on and so forth. I will put some of those link to those quotes under this video. But at the end of Henry's book, he put some quotes that I never heard before. And these are kind of frightening quotes from Swami Bhaktivedanta, dating from 1976, 1 year before he died. He said those words to his disciple Rameshwar, Robert Grant, that was his secretary at the time. These quotes shows the mind of a man that is probably psychotic, delusional, ready to kill millions of people for his belief. Swami Bhaktivedanta said, "After we secure America, we will use everything in Krishna's service, even the atomic bomb. We will tell them, surrender to Krishna or else we will drop the atomic bomb." And that's an exact quote. Rameshwar continued, "Prabhupada told me that the war was inevitable. There is no way it can be stopped." But then I said, "Prabhupada, I thought you once said that if you keep distributing books, then maybe the war can be stopped." And Swami Bhaktivedanta replied, "No, it will increase the chance of that war. That will make it happen faster. We want that. We want that war. That is preparing the world for the fight against atheism. That's what my book are doing. They are preparing the world This war is inevitable. If they are reluctant to fight, we will force them to fight. This is the way Swami Bhaktivedanta spoke in 1976. So we must be reminded that in 1976, Swami Bhaktivedanta had only 3,500 disciples. Half of them were women that he considered less intelligent than men, and maybe 10% of the men were intellectual. The rest were mostly hippies, many from other countries around the world that could not even speak or understand English. So we must conclude that Swami Bhaktivedanta was very delusional, thinking that he was about to conquer America and make America Krishna conscious, to the point where he would take over the military and use the atomic bomb on some other countries that did not believe in Krishna. When you read this, you think it's pretty crazy. And people that did not know about the so-called secret teaching of Swami Bhaktivedanta kept serving him. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and some are still there after 40 years thinking that he is a saint, a self-realized soul that only wanted the good for humanity. And even the people closest to him, like this Rameshwar, Robert Grant, who heard this conversation, he became a guru in 1977 and was one of the leader of the Hare Krishna movement till 1986, one of the worst hypocrite ever to be in the Hare Krishna movement. But if he had the power to do so, would he have tried to get his hand on an atomic bomb to fulfill the dream of his spiritual master? These are valid questions. But to come back to the murders in the book of Henry Dostoevsky, it is clear to me that there always have been communication among the leaders of the Hare Krishna movement of the secret conversation of Swami Bhaktivedanta. And I'm not surprised that they saw the world as black and white, us against them, the devotees and the demons. Actually, part of the strategy to collect millions of dollars in the streets for the members of the Hare Krishna movement, even today in 2018, is that we are devotee of Krishna and they are karmis. We can use the money for a good cause. These karmi demons, they will use the money for sinful activities. Better the money come to us. There has been many other murders in the Hare Krishna movement in America, in India, and if investigated deeply, I am sure that many of the murderers who were devotees of Krishna on the surface thought that their enemies were demons and deserved to be killed. The Hare Krishna movement want the public to believe that this is a process of yoga, bhakti yoga, love of God, universal brotherhood, peace and love. But those who know the secret teaching of the Hare Krishna movement know that the leader had a dark side, and if he would have taken the power, he would have, without hesitation, killed the Christian, killed the Muslim, killed the Buddhist. He said on another occasion, when we take the power, we will do like the Muslim did in the past. We will tell them, do you believe in Krishna? If they say no, pow, we will kill them one by one. So you can ask deeper question now when you meet an Hare Krishna that tells you we are all about peace and love.